Welcome to my moon tutorial. Let's just get started. I'm not gonna dilly-dally. I don't like tutorial videos where they just start asking for likes and crap. So here we go. You're gonna take off. You're gonna head straight to that red line. If you haven't seen my previous videos, go check them out. They're about getting to orbit, and we're not gonna be using the map to get to orbit in this method here. We're gonna be using the HUD, and that's it. So keep an eye out on your HUD. Make sure you're trying to get to your target speeds and move up to those positions. So the moon. Why is the moon interestingly difficult? Well, it's about going up, right? We need to go uphill, right? We need to go up and over, okay? If we do not go up and over and get to our moon destination, well, we're gonna have quite the issues. So we need to go past the moon, let the moon pull us back to slow us down, because the Earth is going to release us and then the moon is going to grab us. Now the moon is going to grab us, okay, but it's not going to be a very strong pull. So we just need enough power to let the Earth release us. Then we need enough power to let the moon then grab us. But if we have too much power, of course, the moon will take us on an adventure, and then it will be too far away, and then the increase of speed as the moon pulls us back will increase our velocity, and therefore we cannot slow down. Your lander must be balanced, okay? Your lander must be balanced. So that means that your lander should have the equivalent of enough power to be able to mitigate against those things. So make sure that you are studying that. As you can see here, we are headed to the moon. We are in a beautiful arc trying to get away from Earth. Now, this is going to be kind of tough. We are staring at that orbit guy right there, okay? And we are looking at, of course, our altitude right there. And we are looking at the, of course, opposite of our altitude. When we have those things, that's called orbit. So once that number appears there, we know that we are in orbit. So that's what we're looking for. We're trying to make sure that our climb, okay, gets to 100,000, so we know at least that we are outside of the atmosphere. Now, that's really great. Once we've realized that we're outside of the atmosphere, we don't have to worry about crashing into the planet. So therefore, we can turn off the thrusters. So we can go ahead and wait until we reach that point. So you can see we want to get closer to our target altitude. So our target altitude is over 100, and so we want to just go somewhere close to that area and start burning again to save fuel. We're going to pick up speed. We're looking for that 4,000 to turn into a 5,000, into a 6,000, into a 7,000. That 7,000 then burns for a little bit, hopefully not too long, and then turns into an orbit. So that is how that is done, and it's very simple. So you'll figure it out as you go. As you can see here, you need to put that orbit all the way up to over 100,000. Once you have that done, you have now orbit around Earth. This is great. This is the first step now. It's time to go to the moon. Create a maneuver node and begin. I'm gonna go ahead and create that maneuver node and set the moon as the target. If you don't set the moon as the target, you're not gonna see your encounter. So make sure you do that. I mean, you might see it without doing it, but it just helps. So I'm gonna fast forward as I get the encounter, and you'll see here. As you can see, we got the encounter, and you want to make sure that you're no more than 18 to 20 away from the body that you're trying to get to, if it's a moon or a planet. whatever it may be. It just helps. So 15 is like the rule. For planets, moons are a little bit more complicated. You'll see. Really spend time until you get it right. You want that purple triangle that I keep going over to be, you know, around that position. You want it to be no more than 19. I mean, 20 is pushing it, but just be careful. It's just something you gotta work on. So once you have that maneuver node created, think about what you're going to do. Oh, well, what we're going to do when the maneuver node is completely made is we're going to radial in once we reach the encounter of the body that we are trying to get to. That's crucial, very important. Remember, the body that we are going to has to have a radial point to turn that 20 into 5 or 6,000 or whatever it may be. So that's what you must remember. Now you're probably wondering why. Well, I will tell you why. So basically, 5 to 6,000 on one side of the planet and 5 to 6,000 on the other side of the planet will decrease your speed of that orbit. Mind you, this is important. A further orbit will of course be a larger travel time to the surface of that planet, increasing velocity. So the closer orbit you are to the planet, the slower you are moving around the planet. So the less fuel you will consume. I'm going to skip me flying and executing this maneuver node. This is simple. A maneuver node, you place it, fast forward to it, click maneuver node on the HUD, and fire when it tells you to, and stop when it tells you to stop. I'm going to assume that you know how to radial in once you have reached the encounter, and you will radial in until you are close to the planet. Once you are close to the planet, and you have radialed in, and you have gathered orbit around the planet, and your lander is sufficient to do this, you should then be able to find a landing spot on the moon. I will skip to that now. I went ahead and decided to relaunch the rocket because I wanted a little bit more fuel to land. So my old craft is kind of, I also didn't like the landing. So we are going to land again right next to it. But I didn't want to go ahead and use the other footage because honestly, I like the first launch better than the second one. Anyway, so some things about my lander. My lander has a crap ton of TWR and is designed to stop on a dime, so I don't really need to get orbit. You can build yours like that, or you can try to go get orbit. Another thing is, we need to talk about your velocity and your altitude. These are important to stare at, and when you need to purge fuel to slow down, and when you don't need to. You need to understand that. So definitely practice flying your lander, landing it on Earth, getting used to its acceleration and deceleration times before you decide to commit to the moon. Lastly, you are going to need to focus on the correct mode. Make sure prograde is selected so you are constantly facing away from the body. Make sure that the body is targeted. Now enjoy the last couple seconds of us landing on the moon. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching my video tutorials. If you have any questions, join the Discord. It's 100% free. I'm in there. Download my RSMM, my Rocket Science Tour applications, and yeah, thank you.